Hi, everybody, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Vendor Corner. I am here with Just E. Super excited. Hi, Just E. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. How are you?
Very good. For all of you who watch our show thus far, Peter is at a Super Bowl party, believe it or not, with his family. So he unfortunately won't be joining us tonight, but Just E and I will do just fine. So we have, if you've been watching the podcast, you know we interview vendors, talented musicians, artists, small business owners, coordinators. We have so many people lined up to interview. And E is just a beautiful soul who is super amazing and has been an absolute spot of sunshine in my life since I met her. So here she is with all of us tonight. So hi, what was the first thing you'd like to share?
Hi. I guess I know this sounds so cheesy, but follow me on Instagram. I am trying to get up to 1,000 followers by the end of the year, and so if you find me as Just E Please, hit that follow button. I'll appreciate you and love you forever. And just remember, you're all human and beautiful.
I love it. So our first question is always like the simplest one. Who are you?
Well, I'm E. I even identify as E, and I feel like who I am as a person is just someone who gravitates to music as a place of safety and movement, as in dancing as a way of expression. And I think that I'm human.
That's beautiful. DJ Rooster's watching live over on Instagram. He says hi, my two favorite people.
Love that.
Denise says hi, Val says hi.
Love
So
it.
I love that. And so I tell everybody all the time when they're watching our show that this is just our virtual living room. Come have a cup of tea, come have a cup of coffee. We talk about everything under the sun in all of our podcasts. So there's no subject that's really off the table that much. Few minor restrictions, but that's not on us. That's on YouTube.
Facts.
um, oh, hi, Florin. Nice to see you too. All right. So, why did you get started?
I think for me, I didn't really have an option. Growing up, I dealt with a lot of things that caused me to get to a place where I was just very angry and I was always in fight or flight. And I think that the only way I really found a way out of it was through music and someone put actually, Tom Peterson, God rest his soul, put a Sony Acid music program in front of me, which was my first audio program. And ironically, that was really where me actually dulling myself into the music started. It wasn't until I was a lot older that my brain started to kind of see that I had some talent in my voice and singing.
Mm, that's crazy to me. And that's, I feel like, kind of a frequent thing is that somebody who is as talented as you are overlooks how talented that they are because they just don't really register it. But oh my God. The first time I saw you sing, it was like you just belted out this really high, I can't even, if I tried to even mimic it, I'm going to butcher it. It'd be terrible. But,
So,
it was just the start of your song, Just Dance. And you were like, hey, and you just let it all out. And I was like, who is this person who just made that noise? Like, that was amazing. And then your entire presentation, like, I'm always a pretty open book when it comes to who I'm watching. I just want to take them in. But with you, it was like your heart pounded everybody, and because you had such a diversity of music, by the time, like, you had one song and I was like, oh my God, she's so positive. The next song comes on, I'm like, oh my God, this is so like enthusiastic. I want to dance, I want to move around with her. The next song comes on, my whole body was vibrating. You sung Mary Did You Know in the competition, and every part of me was like emotional, and I was like the entire, I felt like the entire building and every person in it was vibrating and crying, and it was
um,
amazing. So I was like,
oh,
I need to know this soul. And then we've just been getting to be friends from there. So it's just been it when you meet somebody who is big-hearted and loving and a wonderful person and wonderfully talented, it's just such a beautiful experience to be well-rounded in the world that they are and create around them because they're so life-giving.
Oh, thank you. That means so much. And I have to say, like, I really am so happy that I met you that day because, I mean, even just in that moment, your ability to, like, exude your energy and help create a safe space, I immediately felt it and I really appreciated that. And then ever since, we've just really created a awesome relationship of just being able to create adventures and connections and make things happen. And it feels like some of the hardship in the past that I've been going through is kind of finally starting to come to something. And that's like one of the things that I preach in my music to keep, and
Mhm.
that's one of the reasons why I make my music. Like half of it I'm kind of singing to myself to like kind of remind myself like
Yeah. You have this song, like, I was like, when I had to go hand out flyers, I'm like, "Okay, we got 1 month to really now nail we had Feast for the Soul. We knew we were doing it. We had, like, a month and a half to prepare everything, and really, I'd say a solid month where we really got our feet in the ground, and we just bulldozed, and we started the magazine, which came out amazing. We had a 50-page magazine, which was, like, the beginning of it, while we put together the event. Is friends with DJ Roosta, and we just made this big loving connection with DJ Roosta, and it was and the whole thing just came together. So I was very excited when I knew that you were going to start playing, and I always like to know what people are really doing. So when I met you that night, I went and listened to all your music. Let me tell you, I had that song on repeat like the
oh thank
entire
you.
time I went to go hand out flyers. It's like
Oh,
it's so empowering. And Chris was I was standing at Feast singing, like you were singing your song, you were doing the presentation, and Chris was like, "How do you know all the words?" I was like, "Because I listened to this song like 57 times in one day."
can I actually say I looked out in the crowd at one point when I was singing the song, and there's a part of the song where I actually like switch up the lyrics a little bit. And
Hmm.
it's like right after at the end of the pre-chorus, and I saw you singing the proper endings to the songs, and I was just like, oh my god, she actually like so I actually did notice that. I was like, oh my god, she knew that verse, like it's different and
Yeah.
she knew it. And then I messed up a little bit on like the second and ending on like the second ending of the pre-chorus, and it was just so funny because like you knew it better than I did at the moment. Because I was like
Well, you
trying
know
to
what?
do this.
I didn't have to sing in front of anyone the way that you did. You had your microphone on, you're dressed up, you're in front of everyone. And it was a lot because we had just done you had sung the night before over at the Sing Off series as well. And like you've been really pushing it like with everything. We both have. But that was the fun part of creating Feast with you among so many other things as well. I
Yeah.
have this like burning question that I need to get off my mind. So are you one of these people who started singing very young and knew that, singing was just always a part of your world, or did you find it later in life?
So I will say singing was definitely a part of my world at a young age. My father actually put a microphone in my hand when I was still in diapers and like could barely walk. And so
Mhm.
there's like this iconic photo of me just like sitting there like with the mic in my hand as I'm like taking a step in my diaper. And like so I do think a little mix of that and the fact that my mom and my dad were just always blasting music. They were always going to concerts. They were playing the concerts, DVDs and stuff like that. So I did get surrounded by music at a young age. So I was always like singing Mariah or singing Deborah Cox or something like that. And
Mhm.
but I will say I kind of never really had a good experience singing until I was older, and I think that's why it took me a while to really find my voice
That
because
makes
I had a lot of weird interactions with singing where I think like I don't know what it was, but it was almost like the universe wanted me to learn lessons before I stepped into a more professional setting. That's how I try to look at it.
That's true. And it's amazing to me because we're similar in age and you have so much accomplished. You have your album. Can you tell us more about that, because you have a lot accomplished. If you could just give us a nice highlight reel about yourself, that'd be fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Well, like just music highlight, I would say that like I'm very excited because I think my biggest accomplishment was being able to travel to California to shoot my first music video, which was Playgrounds. And in that journey, I actually cross country traveled by myself in my car to get there and back. And then I took a month to be in California just to surround myself with the culture and the people. And I really did enjoy like every bit of it. And then on the way home, I shot another video in North Carolina, which is the dance video. And then as I kept progressing with like my actual like amount of songs that I had, I started going from singles to having my first EP and then to having my album. And that was just kind of like when it kind of took off, where I had enough songs where I could have a full set list and I could really feel like I could make a stage presence and stuff like that.
My whatchamacallit, my dog kicked my wire out of my laptop and my laptop went down. It was like low beforehand and I was like, oh my god, what just happened?
Okay, I was yeah, part of me was like talking because I wasn't sure. I was like, oh, maybe if I talk and explain everything, you'll have it on in time, because I didn't. But yeah, I totally get it. I did that the other day when I was doing the live stream for the Sing Off series. I like accidentally dropped the camera and it disconnected and I had to like reboot the whole thing. And so like my only saving grace was that it was easy to reboot.
That's good. That's good. So I missed where you were talking about your very impressive career. Can I have that again?
Yeah, I was just saying that I like music wise, just specifically, I had gotten to travel to California. I cross country traveled in my car so that I could experience California for about a month. And within that month, I shot my first music video, which is the music video for Playgrounds.
Okay.
Yeah, and then on my way home, I hit North Carolina. I shot another music video with my friend Wade. He's amazing, and that is the dance video that's out. And then aside from that, I had like a couple other singles out, and then I decided to make an EP where I partnered with somebody called Papa P, and I actually named the EP after him because he's the composer of all the tracks that you're hearing. Yeah, and that's for my specifically for my EP. So to just give him a shout out, I called it the Papa P EP. And I thought it was like a nice spin on words because putting the EP at the end of it means like E for me and P for Papa P.
I love that.
So that was when that came out, and then I had finally dropped my album last March, and that was really exciting because like I feel like I was able to create a full playlist and like a full set to actually go on stage with, and be able to now start bringing like props and stage like outfits and changes and stuff like that.
You really are, like, when it comes to props and stage presence, you bring the most. Every show, you have a curtain you set up, you change outfits on stage for songs. Like, I've never seen somebody do as much as you. You dance, you change your clothes, you sing, you have it all going on. And like, I'd be out of breath, and you're still going, and you're hitting these high notes like Whitney Houston would. And
thank you.
And I'm like, every person in myself who is watching, I'm like, did you see her? I told you she's amazing. And everyone's like, oh my God, she's amazing. She could change. I'm like, some people lose breath tying their shoelaces, and you're here changing whole outfits and dancing while you sing. It's amazing. We're all impressed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I can't wait till I can afford one of those really crazy fancy outfits that like you like pull a string and it's just like whole new outfit.
Well, you do really good the way that you like, I've seen like light up tutu skirts, dresses, clothes, like, and you always wear these amazing stilettos. Like, you must have a like fantastic stiletto collection because they're always like sequins, bright colors, really amazing colors that you always pull out.
Oh, you're awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I loved one of my like core memories of when we first met is I'm like, oh, this couple was so cute. They were crying. They were so impacted the way that like you had sung, and you're like, yeah, it's probably my mom and dad. And I'm like describing them to you. You're like, yeah, it's my mom and dad.
Yeah, it's my mom and her boyfriend. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, it
they
was
always
really
that because my mom got so angry that night, and I was just trying to like calm her down because she, she likes to drink, and so I was like trying to keep her calm because she's the type of person who like I'll have like a party at the house, and like the DJ will play like the Macarena like 6 times, and she'll be like going up to him like play the Macarena, like getting mad because he's like I played it 6 times, I cannot play it again because the crowd is getting annoyed, and then like he'll like come to me like can you calm down your mom, and I'll be like mom, I need you to like calm down and come with me, and she'll be like no, he didn't even play it once for me. And I'm like mom, he played it 6 times, let's go. Like so like, it's just so funny. Like she's innocent, but like she gets in her own world.
I see that. I see that. But you can tell how much she loves you and how proud she is of you, because she is like the first person to jump up and go to bat for you or like speak on your behalf or go. She does the most, and it's really, really cute. So she's like,
Yeah,
did this even happen? If I didn't see it, it didn't happen.
yeah, exactly. And it's like, and I will say, like, I think I went through a lot of stuff in the past where now, you know, I feel like me and my mom are in a place where I can now communicate with her with like no regrets, which
Mm-hmm.
is kind of like, it's freeing to have like that with her. And I hope that that stays, I hope that we can grow and cultivate a really strong relationship with that because she really means well. She just sometimes doesn't communicate it well.
I could definitely understand how that goes. Um, So you and I have been ping ponging about so many different things. We're going to be doing a mini pop up in March over at the Port Jeff Kava Bar. It's called Roots. So the Roots Kava Bar over in Port Jeff. We have your soft launch for the Good Vibe Fest in March. You have Good Vibe Fest in July. So
Mhm.
your music career, you organizing events, like you are so community and entertainment driven.
Aw, thank you.
The list of what you've accomplished feels like it will be like this big by the time we get to June, because there's just so much that you and I are able to accomplish together, and the way that people are coming together, and it just feels like your force of life, like someone who's like a force to be reckoned with. So what does the
Aw.
future look like? What does your heart want for the future?
Well, really quick before I answer that question, I just have to let you know I really appreciate you saying that because, my first business that I invested in, I feel like I didn't really my voice wasn't heard, and I feel like my ideas weren't really valued. And it's interesting because ever since I broke away and started Creature Island Productions and growing in that business, I have been realizing that a lot of the things that I want like I got into audio engineering and looking to do through
Mhm.
audio engineering, I kind of veered away from with the last business that I had because I got distracted. I got people to convince me to take my energy and put it in all these different places. And now that I've like centered it and I started like focusing on the ideas that I had and on the community that I wanted to cultivate with it, and now I'm not letting anything hold me back. I have been
Mhm.
finding a lot of beautiful people who believe in the dream, who see the community that I want to grow, and they believe in it and they want to be a part of it. And I just appreciate you because everybody wants to be a part of it, but not everybody has the drive to want to cultivate it just because it's a lot, like
Mhm.
me and you go crazy trying to cultivate it.
Oh
Like
my god,
the average person would be like,
oh
"You're insane. Why do you even bother?" Like,
yeah, yeah,
so,
it's true.
so so to find someone who I can honestly call a friend and a business partner and see something actually growing from these ideas and knowing that I can support somebody else, but they'll also support me back. It just feels amazing. And I'm so excited to see what the future holds. And with that said, the future does. Well, the question was what again?
I mean, there were so many questions that I packed in that one question. Because my head is spinning. We just finished Feast. Um, there are so many things like I want to say about how the night went and takeaways, and I'm inspired. I'm excited. There was so many like being last year was so much reflection for me. I spent months just reflecting on where we were going to go. We had our holiday show, and as soon as that holiday show was done, I just the next day I was like, okay, we have a month and a half until February, because I had vendors like, Teresa, what's the schedule for the year? And then what Teresa, what's the schedule for the year? Then we had the holiday show, and I had vendors, Teresa, what's the schedule for the year? I don't know, a schedule 5 minutes from now, but because I didn't even think about it. I was like, I just got done. I'm still in the healing process. So I'm like, okay, schedule for the year. What is the schedule for the year? And when I sat back, I was like, I don't want to do any of this if this is not going to really be what my heart wants, the people who I feel the most alive and creative with, because it is a lot of work, and you have to be someone that is absolutely passionate and dedicated about it in order to sustain the speed, because you do so much to get all these different avenues done, and you're balancing your own personal life. How do you get things paid for? How do you keep a roof over your head and your partner satisfied and yourself satisfied and live a life and be a person, which you have to maintain that boundary to some degree. And someone like me, who what I do for a living is my passionate about, like, my life is my life. You know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, I do this from this time to this time, and then I go home and I do this to this. It's my life doesn't look like that at all.
Yes,
There is
moving
no
on.
weekday or weekend. It is just a revolving door of these things that are constantly happening. And I love it. I love the energy. I love the excitement. I love the fun between other people and myself. And I know that you're the same way. So I feel like we're almost two bees, and we're just like buzzing together. We're like,
Yes. Like on like every level too. That's the best part about it. It's like, oh, I have a crazy weekend, like a million things are happening. Oh yeah, I have a crazy weekend, a million things are happening. I guess I'll see you at this event. Okay, yeah, I'll see you at this event. And then we'll like call each other and be like, everything's melting. Oh my god, the world is caving in. It's like, okay, I got you. This is what's happening. Okay, cool. We're gonna make this work. All right. Hey, everything worked out. Everything's great. How great was last night? It was just like it's like every little type of thing that's happening. It's like, okay, what's going on? Like
yeah, because you have to it's so many moving pieces happening at an electrifying speed. You are responsible for so many people, the state of affairs, the health and well-being, the safety, the like law and regulation part, Department of Health, and it's just like it's all backpacked, and your brain is moving at lightning speed. And at the same time, you're a person who's appreciating all the people around you, and it's all happening simultaneously.
Yeah.
So to know that we're there, and it's almost like we have similar skill sets, and then we have strengths, and I don't think that it's even a balance of strengths and weaknesses. I just think that we have very similar, well-developed skill sets that we bridge together, and was like, like dunk, dunk. Woo.
Yeah, we have. I think we have I think we have very complementary, like qualities and skill sets about us. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And
Val.
it's funny that you say that though, because it's like I will say, I do feel like planning events, not like parties is one thing and stuff like that, but I'm saying like events, like when it goes a little bit past a party and it becomes that like sweet 16 or that wedding or that party, the launch party or Zen Shine, like when it becomes just a little bit of past and becomes more of an event. I feel like the best way for me to describe it is kind of, if anybody out there is a sports person, it's kind of like watching an Islanders game on a good day. It's like, yay, it's the Islanders. And then it's like, oh, I'm miserable. My life is like, what is going on right now? And that's like, oh, we won. Like, 'cause it's just like the whole time you're like, oh, we're gonna lose. Oh my god, we're gonna lose. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, it happened. It worked. We won.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it's the literal whirlwind. Like, to put together a feast inside that month, I was up at like 8:30 in the morning. I was going to bed at 3. We were writing the magazine. We were handing out flyers. Haley made 24 signs for us. We were all over on the internet while balancing everything else. So also that's another point, you guys. Thanks for writing it out with us last week, because we didn't post any kind of notification, which is something that I feel like I need to do better with, because when we're in the thick of putting together events, we are so slammed that I never put up a flyer saying, hey guys, sorry, we won't be doing a podcast this week. And I really appreciate you guys for hanging with us and having the notifications, and when we're there, you're watching. You guys are keeping track. Like everyone tonight, I posted up the flyer and, that we were going to be on together. And then everybody got the notification that we were on. And Denise and Val, like they're with us all the time. I love them so much. And we just have like the same core group of people that we hang out with the podcast. Also, ladies, Nilda got to come to Feast and I got to meet her in person, and that was awesome. Hi, Nilda. Thank you for coming from the Bronx to hang out with us. That was really cool. So Val says,
happened, my thing got bugged out for a minute.
Oh, okay. Okay. So there's 3 of you here. This is fun.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Oh yeah, you went away.
That was my alter ego. That was Patricia. Don't mind her. I put her down.
No, that was Felicia. No, I'm kidding. Bye, Felicia. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my god, I love it. Val says, do we get a sample or a link to hear the song that you were listening to? Meaning the one that I listened to 57 times.
Yes. I'm scared to touch after what just happened, but you can easily find me either on YouTube as Just E Please, or you can find me on any music platform as Just E with an exclamation point. I want to try to put a link. I just don't know.
I think that I can put that link on there. Florence says, clearly you guys don't care about the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know what? I do normally care, but I don't think that the Giants won. So I was busy planning Feast. Any relation to football that I may have even remotely had, it was gone in the blur of putting that show together.
Well, here's my take on the Super Bowl. When I'm the halftime show, I'll care more about it.
Oh, yes.
Totally joking. Totally joking. But it would be obviously amazing to get that, but I'm totally joking.
So I think if you are up for it, that we should get a sample.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, how can I make that happen?
Like you just start singing right now.
Oh, true. Well,
What is your the YouTube channel that you have?
So I ask people to go to Just E Please. That's like my personal YouTube. I do have like the music one that was made through the platforms, which would be the Just E with an exclamation point, and then you have to put in topic. But I like to push the Just E Please page because that one has the music videos on it. That one has like the behind the scenes on the music videos and stuff, and not just like the songs.
Yeah, I agree with you. I understand. Okay. I'm looking for you now.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
I'm going to put a link over, and I'm putting a link over. So can you tell us about your soft launch, about Good Vibe Fest, about the different things that you have going on? So while I'm looking for your song.
Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, I have next month I will be on Rising Star Radio, so that's going to be exciting. Aside from which, you can go on my YouTube to find more information on that because I genuinely don't remember, but I will be posting about it later on this week. And then Outside of that, we have the Good Vibes Festival launch party coming up. I'm really excited. It's happening on the March 29th, and we're doing it at BMW Pharmacy in Patchogue. They are awesome. I am teaming together with the owner, Bree. She's a really amazing woman, and she really cares about like health and stuff. That's where it was, where she's a pharmacist, and I switched my pharmacy to her, which is awesome. So now I have like this amazing, beautiful pharmacist, and it feels nice having like a real person to talk to, and it's not like you're just like going to like CVS and some random person's like, I don't care, take your shit and leave. And then like yeah, so and like you can tell they have a good heart, so I'm excited to team up with them. And then that's going to be from 12 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and we're gonna have food, we're gonna have live music, we're gonna have vendors, we're gonna have just a big whole bunch of like people coming, because I'm pushing to get more sponsors, I'm pushing to get more volunteers, and obviously more vendors, and just looking for just whatever's out there that might want to be involved. And hopefully March 29th goes really well and we can really get some good sponsors. I think with the amount of vendors and artists and people who are getting involved, I think the sponsors will really see the worth in it. I even have a couple of artists who are interested in starting like a little bit of a competition. So I want to start an online competition where people get to vote, and every it's probably going to do like anywhere between 4 to 6 artists, and they're going to create a Good Vibes poster. And then I'm going to let the public vote on their favorite poster, and whichever poster wins gets to be the one that like gets plastered throughout town, and like it's like the main like visual of the Good Vibes Fest. And then the other guy and the other ones that don't win, theirs are going to get framed, and then they're going to get raffled off at the Good Vibes Festival to raise money for the charity that we're going to be working with. So it's going to be
okay.
fun.
First of all, there's so many unanswered questions here. One, I didn't even know about the charity part. I just knew that we were doing this amazing thing. We've talked about how Good Vibes started, but tell everybody, how did Good Vibes start? Why did you do it? What's your motivation? I mean, there's just a lot here. You and I have had these very deep conversations, and part of, we don't really leave any stones unturned when we do this kind of like interview stuff. We really like to get into like the heart and soul of the individual. So show us that heart, girl.
Thank you. So yeah, I mean, the big reason why I started it, there's multiple reasons. One of the reasons why is because I am a cancer survivor, and I was very fortunate to get cancer at a older age. I was in my mid-20s, and I had a pediatric form of cancer. So the beauty of that was that I had a stronger and adult immunity to deal with a child form of cancer. The downfall of that is I was surrounded by young kids battling this terminal illness, and it was a reality check of how important it is to put family first, to be with your loved ones, to have that time together before you don't have it. And I hate to put it in that light, but that's really one of the main things that drove it. And then sadly, I had a tragedy, as you know, more on the recent side, of my nephew passing away at 5 years old.
Yep.
And another way of me kind of realizing that life is short, and we can't take advantage of the fact that we have the people that we do have in our lives. And so I wanted to create a festival that was all inclusive, that was something that was meant for kids as young as infants, to like, mothers with their babies, to grandparents who are just there to see their nieces and nephews, or to hang out with their older friends and families. And I think that another thing that really drove me was on the more recent side. I also went to a kid's party, and it was a friend of mine who really is a wonderful woman and a wonderful mother. I'm just going to say it right now. Maria, you're a wonderful woman and a wonderful mother. I know that they might not be watching right now, but I just need to say that because I think sometimes they question themselves. And there was a moment where they were celebrating the birthday, and the place that we were at, Chuck E. Cheese, decided to have like a bouncy house, and it was new, so you had to pay extra for it, but it was out in the open so all the kids could see it. So I felt bad because her son had this amazing birthday, but then it kind of got shattered because he wanted to do that and he wasn't able to because she wasn't prepared to pay for it. And it broke my heart because I was like, this has to be all inclusive. This is what made me think like my festival has to be all inclusive, because I don't want a financial reason to be the reason why a kid gets excluded. I want it to be because it's their choice, because they decided they'd rather go be in the competition than go and than go and be doing the art, or because they decided they wanted to play in the VR center instead of the arcade center, not because they couldn't get into it. And
Right.
so and so that's why the March 29th is so important, because the more sponsors I can get, the bigger I can make this, the easier I can make this ticket be affordable for everybody, and then all inclusive. And the idea of all inclusive means that I can pay people up front, so that if you want to go get your face painted, or if you want to go get henna, or if you want to go into the VR center, or if you want to go and do the arts and crafts and take the crafting classes, or go take the healing Reiki or whatever, or get a massage, it's free. You can just literally sign up, and it's first come, first serve, but you sign up, and as long as you sign up in a timely manner, you get to go. And guess what? It's a 3-day festival. So if you do have a ticket for all 3 days and you don't get it on the first day, you can go for the second day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. We both had that spirit, and that's something that we talked about as both being coordinators, is we want to provide the most, and at the same time, things have cost to them. So it's always trying to make this balance between how do we make this fair for everybody involved, or how do we do the most for everybody and put together these really creative concepts to put these things together. So I'm proud of us. I was able to get the link up. I put it into both of our chats over on Instagram and in the chat here on StreamYard that goes to our YouTube. So I do think that there should be a sample that you provide to us if you're up for it, where you just sing Just Dance for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to find a good spot. Okay, I think I have an idea. Okay, I know where I'm going to start. I'm not gonna be the one to let my dreams go, and I'm not gonna be the one to tell myself no. I'd rather go insane. Dance. It speaks to your soul, makes you feel whole. So why not try and dance? Forget them all and just dance. It speaks to your soul, makes you feel whole. So why not try and dance? Forget them all and just dance. All right.
So powerful. I love it. I love how the song starts out too, because it's so relatable, where it's like, I woke up this morning not feeling myself. Maybe today's just not my day. And then you but I know I hang on to the hope inside. And so the whole song is really like this transformative thing where you're like, I'm not gonna surrender myself to this bad day. I'm not gonna let these morning feelings win. I'm gonna overcome it, and I'm gonna be put into a positive frame of mind. So I just really think, like, even from beginning to end, every part of it is so purposeful, because it's relatable to not be in a great place. Something bothers you, whatever, and then you started singing and you made that one last like echo at the end, and all I could think about was Mary, did you know? And Val says, I have chill. Denise says, wow. And Val says, I have chill bumps. Denise, it's all about dancing.
Oh, I love you guys. Thank you so much. You guys are so sweet. I didn't even know if it would sound like good because of the audio, so that makes me feel good. That means I passed the test of the bad audio, the laptop audio.
Your voice is just so powerful. You yourself are so powerful, and I think one of the things that really comes through when you're singing is that you like. Can I get like a? Can I just get like a little snippet of a Mary Did You Know? Like I feel like they need to know what I saw. What I they just need a little something because it was transformative. Like I'm never gonna be the same.
All right, I'll do the one note for you.
Okay.
Mary, did you know? Mary, did you know?
I still have chills. Like it's so amazing. Like, she starts off very soft and she's telling this story about like, you know, like Mary, did you know that this, you're holding this baby, but did you know this baby was going to grow up to be this man, and goes through this whole process, and she has this powerful voice, and she's giving, and like my whole body was like electrified. I had like
Thank you.
electric rolling through me, and everything was vibrating, and it was like I don't even think that I felt emotional. I think I was in like I just felt your heart, and just listening to the song, and it was so powerful and moving, of like this person who I know has gone through stuff is singing this song about like, did you know that Jesus was going to grow up to become this person for everybody? And you start off slow, you get high, it was just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. The entire building was transformed upon that experience.
I actually have like a really deep connection with that song, because I think that if you break that song down, you can really recognize where it kind of goes across the board. I think kids are so important, and I think kids have such unique, absorbent talents and
Yes.
skill sets. And I
Yes.
think that if more people were able to recognize that and see the potential in their kids, it's like, did you know? Like, you never know. Your kid could grow up to be anything. They could be someone who changes the world. And I had this like saying that I always say, that the cure for cancer is in the head of somebody who can't afford it. And that's kind of where it's like, I wish people would stop looking at status and names and numbers and all these other things, and just recognize like we're all human, and as humans we bring something beautiful to the table. And if we had time to really focus and harness on what makes us feel good, brings us joy, makes us vibrate at our highest levels, I think we would end up all in just a better place and a better frame of mind. Because I always say this, I would rather be a starving artist than a miserable, unhappy person, like with all my bills paid, 9 to 5, but it's like I have nothing. I have no
Yeah.
drive. I have nothing to live for. You know? So
I've been in
that
both of
song.
those situations, and thankfully, like, a lot of other ones in between, but there was no point in my life when I had it all physically. I had the house, I had a brand new car, had a walk-in closet, my life is great financially, and I wasn't just doing what I love. Like that was definitely the moment I woke up and was like, I need art, and I need to do what I came into this world to do, because I have so much. I achieved being the person that my parents told me to be, and I've never felt so empty in my life. And it's good. It's good to have security and like be comfortable in life. But when you are not living your purpose, you can't be comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And also, you can still get that done if you can align the two paths. It's
oh,
like,
absolutely.
it's
Absolutely.
crazy how the world makes you think like, hey, if you do these specific things, you're going to get somewhere. And then you do those specific things and it's not really working. And you're like, why isn't this working for me? And it's like, oh, I'm just not that person. I'm just my own human being, and I have my own steps that literally the universe has been paving out for me. But I'm just so
Mhm.
gun ho on like whatever I believed, or seen, that it's like I'm distracting myself. And I think, like, at least for me, I was able to definitely harness that. I remember when I was actually going to school for business management before I switched my career, and I actually got as far as getting an interview with one of like the top CEOs of like Disneyland. I mean Disney, period. And
Okay.
it was interesting because we were at this fancy restaurant. They all had like calamari or something. And so like you could tell like everybody was just in this like fancy mood. And I was 21. I was the youngest one there. And I was like having no idea, like, a little piece of me was like, what am I doing here? But I had gotten the highest grade or won something for my business management class. And ironically, it was a photo that I drew because he gave us an option to write an essay or draw. And
Oh
I
wow.
drew. I was one of the only people who drew, and he was like, "You did great." So I won through the drawing, even though
Oh
everybody
wow.
had
I'm
essays.
not even surprised by that because your heart, like I said, when you sing these songs, there's this really impactful vibratory force of life that you just emanate, and it's palpable. So the fact that like you maybe didn't use your voice, but you used art and you expressed your heart, like I'm sure
Oh,
it was equally palpable, and that's why you won.
well, it was funny because I won that, and I got to this point where I'm in front of this major CEO, and he's just like flirting with all the older hot chicks there, and I'm just sitting here like, this is business. I'm like, I don't know if business management is really my pursuit. And I will say, by the time I was already at this point, I had already managed 3 businesses and ran my own home care business.
Oh
So
wow.
I was really just learning the terminology of all the stuff I had already done. And I was like, I'm wasting money right now learning this stuff. And I realized I was like, I just want to learn how to be an audio engineer. Like years ago when I had that Acid Sony music program put in my hand, like now it's years later and I'm still thinking about that, and I'm like, I just want to do music. And I dropped out of college, and I got into the trade school. I went to Recording Engineer Institute, and I got my degree, and my whole family was like, what do you do? My like, I love him and he's my biggest supporter, but even my uncle was like, you're a bulldozer, you're ruining your whole, like, you've been working for this business management thing, you're just throwing it away.
Yep.
And like, and I totally get their perspective. And despite how my uncle felt, he still supported me. He helped me pay off my bills so that I could go move on and start this and put my money towards the new degree. And then, but honestly, like in retrospective, it was the best move I made because it helped me realize that I actually had a voice.
Mhm.
I think the universe for a long time was like, you can't sing. You don't have a voice. No, no. Oh, you think you're good? Oh, humbleization. Like, you
Yep.
know. So it was like, and so, like, it was like now all of a sudden after like learning, not only how to audio engineer, but how to listen for what sounds good, how to
Yeah.
listen for timing and beats, and then starting to learn pitch correction and learning how to have pitch relevancy, and then starting to work with a vocal coach. Christine Sween, man, she's the best. Christine Sweeney, she has her own music. Go check her out. She's amazing. She did vocal coaching for me for a little over 2 years, I'm pretty sure. And I can't even tell you the difference. I mean, I was pitchy, I was all over the place, and then just a couple years with her and just a couple sessions with her, I was doing so much better. And then she said this one thing that really stuck with me. And she said, you have to have intent. She goes, you
You
have
have
a
to have
voice.
what?
Intent.
Okay.
Yeah, she was like, you have a voice and you have good like tones and pitches and blah blah blah. She said, but you need to think about how you sing it and why you sing it and get that emotion out. And that
So
really
true.
made me think about how I was singing in a whole different way, where I could go like, I woke up this morning not feeling so well. Maybe today just ain't my day. Like that's me like walking around like, you know what? This is life. I'm gonna take it by the grain of salt. That's where the like like I put
I
that
love
in
that.
that
I love
voice.
that so much.
I put that in there for like, if I'm singing floating, I mean, if I'm singing my song Serenity and I'm sitting here like, time to let it go. Like in that case, I'm not trying to have the I'm trying to sound melodic and calm and chill. And so that's when I started kind of really putting intent to my vocals and really starting to like find my voice and understand like how to translate my emotions into it.
That's one thing that I definitely noticed about you is all of the emotion. Like that was the first thing that I saw. Like whatever song you were singing, the sound, the voice was there, but you're conveying so much more than just singing. You're really putting so much emotional emphasis, so much feeling, vibration, impact. You're landing. Like, who can't relate to, especially the way that you put the pow pow into it? I woke up this morning not feeling so well. You know, that okay, you know, we've all been there. We have that morning, we're groggy, we're tired, we were up late, we want to sleep in later. Like, stuff is going on and we're just like, nah, you know, who can't get with that feeling? And then, okay, the next part of the song is like, maybe today's just not my day, but then I hang on to the hope that I know. And then you get into, okay, well, you know what, it's not everything that I want it to be, but there's so many things that it can be. And then
Yeah.
that's how the whole song transcends. And by the time the song is done, you're in a great mood, you're dancing in the kitchen, or you're handing out 1,000 flyers for your next event, or whatever the case is, and you're just in this total positive frame of mind. And the other thing too is like, forget the people that maybe don't make you feel great, or forget whatever's going on that's irritating you, and just focus on dancing, just focus on feeling good. And then, you know, don't let anything get in your way. And one of my favorite lines of the song is like, no, I'm not going to be the one to let my dreams go. No, I'm not going to be the one, what is it,
To tell myself no.
yeah, and that's such a common thing. We're so good at putting a limit or a barrier up and saying, I'm not good enough, this can't happen. We have all these beliefs that support why we won't start or why we won't follow through. But when you have this song that you're listening to, you, or a, like, the trust in yourself to follow through with the things that you know you need to do so that you can get to the other side and complete them. Because we don't learn by starting and stopping. I mean, we do, but not the same way we learn by saying, that's my island, I'm going to go invade it now. And like I tell people all the time, one of my quotes for when I started Zenshine, I had like 3 major points of inspiration. One of them was George Washington. Long story, I'll tell you another time. He was so relentless. The second one was like, burn your boat. You know, like, if you, this is your island and you say, I claim that as my island, I'm dramatic and I'm comedic in my own brain to get me through things. But I'll be like, you know, when you're going to invade an island, you have no idea what's on that island. It could be fruitful, it could be barren, there could be cannibals. Like, you have no idea what's on the island. And it's the same thing in life. You have no idea what's going to happen. But if that's your island, then you have to do what you need to do to make it work on your island. And part of it is burn your boat. So I just kept this visualization going. Here I am, I'm out on the open water for months at a time. I don't have any kind of Navy SEAL technology. I'm like a pirate or a mariner or whatever. And I'm on this big ass boat. And then I just, you know, that's my island. I just get this inner knowing inside, this vibratory feeling inside that's sourced to me. I receive this message. And then I decide I'm going to burn my entire boat, my entire mode of transportation, because I am so convinced inside, so dedicated to the idea that this is the thing that I'm supposed to do, which is a big thing to commit to. Because, you know, how are we ever really 110% sure of anything that we're supposed to do in life? And then we get to this point where we have this inner knowing, this connection to source that says, this is my thing. This is my thing when it's hard, when it's easy, when it's in between, when it kicks me in the face, when I overcome getting kicked in the face, regardless of what's going to happen on this island, this is my thing. And you burn your boat. You can't go to the store and get a new boat. So you better be really convinced that this is your island. And if you're on there, you're just going to have to deal with whatever it is. And those two things really go hand in hand, because it was that kind of mentality that George Washington had to be able to create the United States. Like, he would just kept getting hit in the face over and over again. Goes to Congress. Hey, we need rations. Congress doesn't send them. Oh, thank God. This crazy person is, this whole thing's going to be over. We're going to go back to the monarchy. George says, you know what? You ain't going to send me no rations? That's fine. George, you'll take care of it. He just pivots and he takes the attention. He starts writing to the landholders. Hey, we need rations. Feed your shoulders. We're in the middle of war. We need to do whatever. The rations come from the landholders. Then Congress shows up. And that's such a relatable concept, because you can reach out to people and say, hey, I need, hey, support, and you may not get the support, but that doesn't mean you give up. It means that you keep going. And then those people, and it's so common even in the music world, entertainment, where they say, oh, friends didn't show up until I made it. Now people in high school that I wasn't even friends with are coming out saying how we were cool back in the day. You weren't so cool with me when I needed the support to get going, but you're cool with me now that I made it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like that, where it's like, you just keep pushing. So you burn your boat, you get on this island, now you're surveying it, you're looking at the land, or you maybe before you burn your boat, you go take a lay in the land, and you feel so overwhelmed by the place that you go on and you do it. And to me, that's the concept of this song, is that I'm not going to tell myself no. I'm gonna learn it. And back in my early 20s, I really wanted to create something like Zenshine, and I started, but I didn't have the self-confidence yet to go all the way. So I would go, then stop, then go, then stop. And I would be so frustrated with myself, but I just couldn't get over that bubble of fear. And then I hit this point where I was like, I know that this is my thing. I'm never going to give 110% to this. The way that I will never give 110% to anything else the way that I will to this. And I went 120%, and I burned the boat, and I never looked back. And that was 5 years ago. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the one to let my dreams go. I'm not going to be the one, to tell myself no. I'd rather go insane, because you do. And that was my life experience. Every time I told myself no, I'd go into another job for a paycheck, and I would be so incomplete. And if you don't do the things that you love, like we just said earlier, you do go insane, because you're empty, because you're looking to fill it. You're looking to satisfy with that thing that you love. Is only the things that you really genuinely feel joy with are going to be fulfilling to your soul. If you try to do all these alternative things, they're just fillers for a void. And that's where you see people grab onto things, because they're looking for something that feels as good as what fulfills them. Just move fear out of the way and live your life.
Yeah, I always say turn fear into curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
You
It's
know,
true.
and I mean, mostly anything, turn negative thoughts into curiosity. Like if you're feeling that, like that's where too, it's like there's a line that I say, you can choose the path that's paved.
Yes, yes.
I actually say that specifically because a lot of people will say, well, you can't choose the path that's paved. And I'm like, break down that analogy. When we pave when a road gets paved, isn't it because of our tax dollars and people complaining about that road, and people like, putting in permits or filing whatever they need to do to pave the road to clear the potholes and clear the X, Y, and Z's? It's like we kind of really do choose those paths that are paved. So when we look at in that terminology, it's like, and by that I don't mean that we get to choose the cards we're dealt with. No, 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 no. We don't get to choose how the universe gives us what we get, but we do choose what we do with it. We do choose how we pave our way with it. And like, this is so silly. It's a lot of people probably heard this from like Cobra Kai, but it's like you can like use an excuse to be like an a-hole, and use the excuse, like use your hardship and what you've been to be hard on other people, like, oh, I dealt with 3 times worse than that, you can handle it. Like you could have that attitude, or you could have the attitude of, oh my gosh, I know what that feels like, and I don't want to ever make someone feel that way, and I want to create a better environment than what I experienced, because I see where it didn't do good for me. So it's like, choose that path, and it's different for everybody. Some people do good with tough love. I remember back in the day, I was living in a house that I was kind of not in a good financial place, so I was being a nanny, and I was living nanny, and they had tenants downstairs, and they fought like crazy, like crazy. But it was one of those things where I realized you guys deserve each other. And it's not like, oh, you're both horrible people. No, it's that's how you guys communicate. And I'd rather be with each other than you guys be with someone who's more passive, and you're just screaming at them all the time. And then one thing I realized is they kind of needed it. Like he was all over the place, and he was kind of laissez-faire, and like, it's like, hey, we have a kid. Don't let the kid like drown in the pool. I shouldn't have said that analogy because my brain's all over the place, but it's like, don't let the kid like touch the hot stove, it's like, don't and he would be so laissez-faire, he wouldn't think about that stuff. So she would have to kind of scream at him to connect the dots, because if she didn't scream at him, he would just let it happen. And then in the same regards, like if she didn't get screamed at on like her end of things, she would let things go. So it was like, kind of like realizing that people have different love languages, different people have different ways to communicate. And like I'm even just now just trying to find a place where I cannot judge someone or have an opinion or assumption of them, but just have my own judgments of what I need in life and the type of people I need to surround myself with, and let those other people find their people that they need to surround themselves with, because if we can all like live cohesively, I'm not saying that right.
Cohesively.
Cohesively, yeah, there we go. Together in this world and just learn to agree to disagree, I think we'd be in a really better place, because the more we agree to disagree, the more we'll actually cultivate safe spaces for each other versus
Yes.
trying to force everybody to live the way that they believe is right,
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we just said this earlier. We're not one size fits all. We are so varied, and our life experiences really make a difference. What side of the coin did we grow up viewing to come up with the emotions that we do? And if we buy into this is me, this is what makes me me, these are my life experiences, and therefore this is the right way. I like that analogy of, there's a sphere in the middle and half the side is black and half the side is white, but the other side doesn't know. So, you could sit there and argue, well, it's white, it's black, it's white, it's black, it's white, it's black. If you turn that same exact sphere around, or you walk around it, you can say, oh, wait a minute, you weren't wrong. You were never wrong. You imagine how that must feel like to be in that position where you're insisting that the thing in front of you is white, but a difference in vantage point, you'd be like, oh wow, you were never wrong to begin with, you just saw it from this side. And that's how you look at it. And if we could just hold that kind of space, that it's like, it's not about being right or wrong, it's about, and I think too, like, we were talking earlier, and I'm not trying to get into politics, but we were talking earlier even about politics, and it's like, we have 8 billion people on this planet.
Yeah, probably a lot
8
more
billion.
that
Like, that
are
is
accounted
a lot
for.
of people. And who knows? I mean, I'd have to look at a statistic. Out of that 8 billion people, how many of them are on Long Island? How many of them are in New York? That is a lot of people. And I don't know if you've ever been in a room full of your family, your friends, people that you're surrounded by. It's hard to get one cohesive agreement between everyone. And this
Yeah.
is also Earth School. And in Earth School, there's a whole bunch of different energies, a whole bunch of different vibrations, a whole different group of places. Some people are plugged into a higher consciousness. Some people are still hanging out, they want the fight, they want the conflict, they want the drama. You have to go through enough of something to decide you do or don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
And by partaking in those sorts of things, that's where we give ourselves the freedom to be, and give others the freedom to be just as well. There's always somebody who's learned something I haven't learned yet, and something that I've learned that I already know that they may not know. So it's not my place to judge the person who doesn't know what I know, and just the way I don't want to be judged for somebody knowing something I don't. If we would be more willing to be helpful to each other, to hold compassion instead of judgment, we could get a lot further. I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And then I think that if I mean not I think, I hope that like my music can kind of put that out there, like recognizing that we're all human first, and then breaking it down from there, breaking it down, working it out, And I feel like in a lot of ways uh what I'm realizing throughout history is the arts and the music has been the only way. I mean, when you look at just history as a whole, when something wasn't treated right, when someone or something was going on that just isn't humane, it was always some song or some movie or some art piece that really got the average person listening, you
Yeah.
know? And I
Yep.
think that I hate to say it, but I think that with how the market is flooded with, and I'm just going to say it like this, corruption, there's too many people who are kind of blurring out the true heart in it. And I think they're distracting a lot of really good, talented people from their potential. And I
Mm.
wish, and I think that and it's always, in my opinion, from what I've seen throughout history, some form of art, whether it's like Strange Fruit by Billie Holiday, whether it's you know,
I mean, we've
Black.
had Mercy Me from I'm blanking on his name right now. Oh, mercy, mercy me. Why am I blanking on his name? That's terrible. That's embarrassing. I know this song so well. It's one of my favorite. We have John Lennon singing, Dreamer. We like there to me, the people who are inspirational are the people who have always stood for something and conveyed it. You see Martin Luther King, you see Rosa Parks, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, FDR, Teddy Roosevelt. I admire so deeply people who lead with their heart and soul first.
But Rosa Parks, honestly, is a perfect example because it's like Rosa Parks changed the way, but it wasn't truly perceived worldwide until it was like depicted in some form of movie, you
Yeah,
know? And that's where it's
absolutely.
like art, creativity is like that's how we were meant to communicate, in my opinion. I
I
mean, you
agree with you. Marvin Gaye. I had to look it up. I was so annoyed that I couldn't remember the name. I was like,
okay.
what the hell? I know this so well.
It's like I totally get it. Yeah.
So powerful. There's so many, and that's one thing that like the driving force I think behind people like yourself and me. You look to these positive, influential people. For all the people that have ever been on the world, we study these one-off people. We all have the ability to do it. Some people care more than others, and I think it's the people who care about making a difference that do make a difference. And they, the it takes a lot of work to be a game changer. So it's not for
Mhm.
everybody. You got to be very strong in your vision of wanting to do something to actually get it done.
And I want to say for anybody who's out there, like has their own vision that they're working towards, just remember that one of the things that will keep you strong, or at least one of the things that keep me strong in my vision, is constantly questioning yourself in a like in a more scientific or a more logical manner, not sitting there going like, am I good enough? No, not that type of questioning, but checking in with yourself. Like, does this action align with who I want to be? You know,
Yes.
is
Yes. Yes.
my next step forward bringing me to where I want to be? Like, if my goal is to communicate, for an example, if my goal is to make things better for
Mm-hmm.
whatever it might be, are the words coming out of my mouth actually going to achieve that?
Yeah.
And I think
100%.
a lot of us don't sit back and take the time to think about that and respond. We just react. And even me myself, just a couple years ago, when I was at my most stressful, confusing moments, I realized that, like, wow, I was really reacting. I was in a fight or flight, and I had to realize, like, when we're in those situations, it's not that we're doing anything wrong. It's not that our life is so chaotic and messed up and blah, 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 blah. It's that we're not aligned with our goals. We're not aligned with at what we actually want or believe in, or our morals, our values. And I think that sometimes it's just so easy for that corruption to distract us with buzzwords and with stuff that makes us feel familiar and stuff like that. And I think if we stop caring so much about all that stuff and just start looking, like I said, we're humans. Okay, I didn't like that you did that, but why didn't I like that you did that? Like, instead of saying like, why did you
Mm-hmm.
do that? Why didn't I like that? And it's like once you can break it down and realize like, oh, this is my intention, this is where it's coming from, and this is why it matters, then you can finally advocate not for your point, but for the cause.
Absolutely. 100%. Like you have that song, and you were doing it with the kids that were at Feast, and it was adorable. And
Yeah,
they were in it. They were in it with you
they were good.
entirely. But so my question to you is, where did some of the messages that you have in your songs come from? Because it sounds like what you're explaining right now, you have that song, break it down, work it out. you know, where did that come from? Yeah, I know. I'm like, break it down. Chris and I both were doing it in the audience with you.
Yo, believe it or not, that's Grease.
Oh, is it?
Remember when when they're at the dance, and Danny and Sandy, they're going around the circle and they go dance. I forget the song, but they're
Oh, I
like doing
remember. I
together.
remember.
But it actually works really well because I guess the reason why I connected is because it's like break it down. I'm going down, breaking it down, and then it's like work it out. Okay, I'm going through everything, I'm working it out, and then it's like all the people over here, all the people over there, I'm showing them all. You know, so that's how I
How
and
did
then it's cool because the kids could connect it really easy because they're easy dance moves, you know.
Yeah, yeah. They were eating it up. They loved being on the floor with you. It was great. So where did the lyrics or where did the inspiration for that song come from?
Honestly, my last business relationship, my last business, I was really tested. I really had to break down why I was feeling the way I was feeling, what was going on, you know. I had to work out what my next step was, where I'm going to go. And this is where it's kind of different from the past because in the past I did a lot of that, but I feel like my goal was to like learn and grow and absorb. But in the lyric it says show them all by being the best that you can be, happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
never did that ending. I never learned to do that part. It was like I never took care of myself too, on top of everything else.
Oh,
And
yes.
so that's where that came from. Because for a lot of time, for years, I was breaking it down and I was working it out. But where was I going with it? Like, what was happening? Like, I could break down a million times how I could have said it, what I did wrong, all these different things. And I could learn and learn and learn. But if I don't do anything with what I learned, I don't put it into action, I don't make my consciousness into action and align them, then it's pointless. And that's where it was like, I got to show them all and learn how to be happy and go do the things that make me feel happy. And yeah, happiness doesn't mean you're in delusional land and you're always like, everything's great, life is wonderful. But happiness means that have you have the ability to look at all of that and go, you know what? There's still some great things in my life. It may not be all this fire dumpster in front of me, but
Yes.
yes. And honestly, I forget that sometimes, and that's where it's like, all right, let me put on my song. Let me just hear that really quick, along with a multitude of other artists that have inspired me to make music like this because they pushed me through my hard times when I was young, you know?
Mm-hmm. Do you see yourself making new songs this year?
Yes, I actually have already a huge handful of songs that I'm going to be doing this year. If anybody knows, there's a rapper out there called Swagger Dagger. He is just phenomenal, and he is also going to be performing at the Good Vibes Festival. And I'm pretty sure I have him booked for the launch party as well on March 29th. But he's a rapper, but it's all inspirational, and it has such meaning behind it. And him in his soul vibrates so beautifully and so strong. Like he's always just spewing this good energy. And one thing that I really love about him is he knows how to judge without being
Mhm.
judgmental.
That's
And
beautiful.
it really is so
So it's
beautiful.
like
And
discernment. He's good at discernment, but he's not judgmental.
yes, and he even humbles me sometimes because I'll come to him, I'll be like, I just, how do you function? I don't get how to do this. I don't know. And he's been in the music, in the music biz, I think a little bit longer than me when it comes like professionally. Like, I don't know how long he's been like going out there and performing, but I know like he's been in the scene a lot longer. And so it's like, I come to him sometimes, it's like, I don't know what to do in my life. What's going on? And like, he'll like kind of guide me a little bit, and be like, this is how I deal with it. And this is what I've experienced and how I navigate it. And everybody having somebody like that and having people in their lives like that is very, very important because that's where the community part comes in. I would not be where I am at all if it wasn't for the family members that have supported me, my loved ones. Right now, my boyfriend Scott has made a huge like pivot in my career. Even he kind of helped me get away from the negativity of the last business and like creating an environment for this new start. And obviously having you in my life and DJ Roosta and the Covert Connector and a lot of these people, my friend Kai, oh, Colorful Kai, He's from Colorful
He's so
Dreams,
cute. I love him. He's like,
He's
you gave me this carnelian the last time I saw you, and it really made a difference in my life. And he's just really adorable. Kai is great.
Yeah, oh my gosh, he's just what I love about Kai is like he's so transparent. And I this is what I think in some ways I don't have a very neurotypical brain.
Mm.
So things tend to just go over my head. Like you could be joking with me and I'm like my boyfriend the other day was like, making jokes at me because I guess I'm not good at like kind of like cracking wise jokes, so it sounds more serious. And then when I go to be serious, it sounds like I'm cracking a wise joke. And he's like, wait, that wasn't a joke? And I'm like, no. So it's like one of those things where like I don't always connect the dots very quickly. And sometimes I need a little like holding hands. Like I know that I told you to press 1 and 2, but just in case this is 1 and this is 2, like sometimes I need that. And so I appreciate having this group of people who are okay. And Kai is one of the biggest people, like I can just like say how I want to say, and he can just say how he wants to say, and we're like, okay, like there I even I don't think I can openly say, and not even I don't think I've never had one moment with Kai where I turned around in like the long run and was like, I never feel the need to want to yell at him. I never feel the need to want to like. There's no anger that bubbles up, when it comes to specifically Kai. Like it's like even when he messes up, I'm like, you're too fucking cute. Like, you just damn it, like, like, like it's like I love you too much. Like whatever, I'll fucking deal with it. Like, excuse my language. I'm sorry. I'll deal with it.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
I forgot to
they
ask if we can curse. I didn't even think about that.
on YouTube they don't want you to, but it's here and there, and I think that we can pass forward. And when we do pivot, because we are going to be submitting these to Queens Public Television, we did get like the okay for that, so we'll just edit those out.
Yeah. I can help you
um
with that. I'm a sound engineer.
See, plugging, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I would really be interested to see how your new life experience translate into your music.
Oh, thank you. And honestly, I'm excited to see what the future holds for both of us, for everybody involved, even the people who are part of it. Cause like, excuse me, we get so used to being like, oh, are you an artist? Or are you like, why are you in the scene? What do you do? And I think sometimes people forget that being a supporter is just as important as being an artist or being, because not only do those supporters give us life, or at least for me, like I know my energy level will always go up when more people are in the room. It's just natural for me. So it's like not only do they like their energy all bring something specific to the table that makes the atmosphere just that much better and that vibration that much higher, but
Mhm.
like also we need, like I hate to say it like this, I'm not essential. Like I look at my mother who like does home care living and she's a nurse, and like the amount of sickness and illness that she's around and her ability to be strong and push through it and be there light all the time, and then not like and be like dimmed out for herself because she's constantly shining bright for everybody else. It's kind of like recognizing like, hey, you
I
know
have a
what?
serious objection in this. I don't mean to interrupt you because that's
Yeah.
rude. But for you to say you're not essential, like music and art wouldn't be what it is. And I think that hearing that is like I went to the 2025 Long Island Arts Summit, and we have this conversation. Why is art and music not as essential in school districts where they it's mandatory to do math, mandatory for English, but it's not mandatory for music and for art. But music inspires critical thinking, and they were able to get some footing in that when a Nobel Prize winner for a science thing said, if you could thank one teacher, I'm trying to remember his name. You can thank if you could thank one teacher for you accomplishing this task, what teacher would it be? And they're all waiting to hear chemistry, this, that. And it was like my music teacher, because we had some really hard things to traverse, but he taught me how to never give up. He taught me how to keep trying, keep practicing until I got the sound that I wanted. And he applied it into science. And
Mhm.
recently, when I went to the summit, the president of Hofstra said, where is it? Buffering. He went into a college classroom, not musicians, and said, "Show of hands, how many of you want to go to college, or how many plan on going to college?" And 3 students out of that college classroom raised their hand. 3. And he's
Wow.
like, "That was very discouraging as a college president. Why were those students not interested in going to further their education?" And then he goes, "I walk out and I'm thinking about it, and I'm wondering what's my role? How can I do better at making these children or these students connect to their education?" He goes, and then all of a sudden I hear these beautiful voices, and it's the chorus, and they're singing, and it's like it was like angels singing. And I stopped what I was doing. I stopped the experience I was having, which was pretty depressed, to be honest with all of you.
Um,
And I had to go follow the sound. And I walked into the chorus room. I sat down. There happened to be an extra chair in the front. They had no idea who I am, but they just let me watch them sing. And I just sat there in awe and was like totally transformed by the presence of them singing, what they were singing, how they were singing. And I said, out of just a show of hands, he's like, the previous class I introduced myself. This class I didn't even give myself an introduction. I just said, "How many of you plan on going to college?" And 85% of the class raised their hand and said, "We plan to go," because their music career was attached to it. And that was the difference that music made.
yeah.
So critical thinking, creativity, the communication. When we want to do a town revival, the first thing that they'll do is put in art and music. So
Yeah.
essential is so variable, but I
Yeah.
can't get through my life without music or art. So I'd say it's pretty essential.
Thank you. Well, I think when it comes to like on a fundamental level, when you're learning and when you're growing and pursuing, I agree with you. I think music is very, very important. But I do think that on a living human level, as much as I love my voice, it's not going to help me like change my tires on my car or like fill my gas, or it's not going to help me like solve like an intense math equation that could potentially stop like an explosion if I like put the wrong chemicals together. Or like I so and that's where like with my mother, like if someone gets sick, like she can patch them up, she can heal their wounds and stuff like that. And I do think like emotionally and spiritually, yes, like art and music, we need it, we definitely need it. So I guess essential wasn't the best word, because I guess when you say essential it means like what's needed. And so I do think that you're right, music is very essential. But when I look at when hardship happens and what is needed in those hardships, I like I said, I think music is where the change happens. I think when we grow and we start to build, and I think the creativity comes from that growing in that building. And I think that the art helps us maneuver through it and stuff like that. I agree with you completely. And I do wish I was a little more positive, I guess, in myself on like, I guess, where I am needed in this world, or where I could be like where I could do more for the world. But I do think that everybody has their place, everybody has a reason on why they go. And I think that's really, if you focus on that, it doesn't really matter if you have a place or if you this or if you that, because it's like you're fulfilling your own heart, you know.
Yeah. Nelda says your singing was great. She loved it. She's the one who came out from the Bronx. She also said in capital letters, music heals in all levels. And Val said, I agree with Nelda. So as much as I love you and I'm in concert with you and so many other things, I think I'm going to insist, like, you know,
Aw.
is my surgeon going to sing me, through surgery? Maybe not, but maybe because I attended sound therapy and I heard this angelic voice, it is my pound of prevention versus my ounce of cure. Because if I'm in harmony, I won't even need the surgery. Okay. Like that's my perspective towards it. We need art and music just as much as it is entirely essential. We get through hardship with music and art, we get through joy with music and art, we connect to each other. It is the communication that goes beyond words and creates influence and empowerment in all things. If the world didn't have color, that'd be gross. If it didn't have music
Exactly.
and sound to listen to, the sound of birds singing in the summer, the smell of grass, the way that the sun comes through your curtains, the way that you walk out on your front porch, like the world is alive. And
Yeah.
music and art help to convey its aliveness. And that is what you bring to the table in this
Oh,
thing
thank you.
called life. So this weird, you're not essential. I know that's a misspoke on you, but like we need
Yeah.
that too many people I think have that kind of mentality, and I'm not using it as a judgment, but I'm, you know, these are the things that we talk about when we are at the summit with the art council, and you know, when they're talking about politics and how to change the philosophies of the educational programming. You know, it's the difference between a lot of kids being alive and not, a lot of people being alive and not. It has an immense place of value in this world.
I will say too, like to add on to what you're saying, because it's like breaking it down even on like a scientific level. A lot of people will say that numbers is the universal language, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Well, when you break down music, it's numbers. And
Yeah,
then when you break down what music produces, it's vibrations.
that's
And
right.
vibrations are how the world runs, whether we want to realize it or not. And so it is true, because it's like you have to think, if a vibration can make a specific shape, and those vibrations and shapes can alter how your body and your molecules work to the point where it can heal cancer and do crazy stuff that we're like not even able to comprehend.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with that. If we were to dive into like real music therapy, real healing sound vibration therapy, the like monks, like Mongolian monks and stuff like that, I agree. There's massive healing in that. I can't say like, Ariana Grande singing about how like she got like banged so hard she can't walk straight is gonna do that. But I definitely think that the actual vibrations that her high notes can do that.
I do agree. Okay, I have a question. I want to know if you're open to an experiment with me, because I think that your voice is so powerful and so healing. The power of I could literally feel the vibratory force of your voice when you sing. Like those vibrations are physical. I would love to see you sing to water, sing into water, and put it in the freezer and see what pictures or what vibrations appear in that water. I just think it would be really, really special. And then we'll just take pictures of
That
like
was
what
fun.
comes out. I think
I'm
that would be
curious
really,
to
really
see the
cool.
like shapes that come out of it. Really quick, I want to answer. I think this is it Vale? Vale, right?
Val,
Val.
yes.
Oh, Val. Okay, yeah. I just want to say, I feel you. My grandma went through Alzheimer's, and I agree with you. Singing does make a huge difference. It's crazy how people can like not remember anything, and then the minute a song comes on, they're like singing every lyric, and it feels good because it's like, oh, I have them back for a moment. So I
Yeah.
totally understand that.
Nilda says, you are a piece that completes the picture of creation. Without you, the world wouldn't be complete. Love
Aw,
it.
right
This
back
is
at you.
a positive place. I love this place. And then
Same.
Val says, remember Close Encounter of the Third Kind? It was music notes.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that actually. That's beautiful. I
Yes.
believe it. I mean,
So
it's like they say that even the pyramids were moved through vibrations.
that's right. That's right. I mean, there's just really a lot to it. So I feel like there's so much for us. All right, we talked about Vibe Fest. Check. We talked
Yeah.
about you're going to make more music this year. I'm curious to see what that's going to sound like and where that's going to go. Um, there's a soft launch in March. We'll be at Roots Kava Bar on March 15th doing a mini pop up. What I feel like 2 days after Feast, I'm still vibrating in a lot of reflection about Feast. I sat after the holiday show that we did and really sat and meditated for like 5 days. What do I want? What does my heart want? What do I want to be involved in? What would I like to see? And it, although it didn't go exactly the way that my vision was, I think that show, I love every show that I've ever done. There's been a lot of learning, but I could see how that show really made me feel most like myself. And I loved looking around at everyone who was there. the vendors who were vending, the musicians, the experiences that we had, the people who came. Everywhere I looked, there was love. Everywhere I looked, there was people getting along great. There was art, there was music, there was positivity. Um, there was not one thing that I walked away from that night and said that this didn't go the way that I wanted more of. You know, like, it's February, and not, you know, we put it out in so many places, and it wasn't maybe as busy as we really would have loved it to be, but we still had a good turnout. We still had great quality people that were there, and I would like to see, like, I'm like, my thoughts for it right now. It's like, I can't wait to see, like, based off of that same premise, where we go from here. Just
Yeah.
because so much love was in the room, so much creativity was in the room. That, I think that room felt the most like myself. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. I feel like there's a lot of amazing adventures coming, and I will say too, even like my boyfriend, he said that like kava drink just really relaxed him and chilled him out for the night. And it's like we ended up buying a couple, and we brought them home, and so far every single one of them has been amazing. And I personally have been slowly weaning off. Like, I don't want to say weaning off because that makes it sound like I've been like addicted or something, but I just I've never been a big drinker. I never go out and like go to the like I'll go to if I'm like in a public setting with my friends, yeah, I'll drink, but I was never someone to like go out just to drink or to come home and drink. It was just like if I was with my friends, I'll have a drink or something like that. And every once in a while, like once a year, maybe I'll get like really plastered drunk during like the holidays or something. But like I'm not a big drinker, so I really appreciated the kava being experiencing for the first time and having something like that because it does give you almost like I forget who said it, but they said it was some tribe's version of a truly. And like I kind of understood that because it was like it gave you kind of the sensation of a buzz in the sense of like you feel calm, you feel relaxed, you feel like you kind of can accept. Like I probably could have walked outside and been freezing and like been like, all right, that's cool, but like at the same
I
time,
know.
yeah, but at the same time, you're not like feeling groggy and you're not feeling the disease and you don't go through any type, like you just feel good and nice and relaxed and you feel uplifted and it's almost like your vibrations are just like, "Ooh." And so it's like I just think that like you cultivated an environment that really was not only different than what I've at least ever experienced, but and hopefully other people feel that way. But I also think you created an environment that really is more sober friendly. Like I have so many friends who would love to come out to my shows, but like being at a bar triggers them or they don't want to be around drunk people. And even like me and like my boyfriend have been talking recently about trying to get away from bars as places where I'm performing because of the fact that there's just, and I'm only gonna say it non like judgmental, and not I'm not saying everybody at a bar is like this, but there are a lot of low vibrational people who are going there because they're in a low place and they're trying to decompress and get away from it. I have
Yep.
been one of those people. Everybody has their moments where they're there for that reason, and then there's people who are there for other reasons. But I'm trying to I've been trying to find more places to perform that cultivate a more, inclusive environment, a more sober environment, a more family friendly environment. And I feel like yesterday you really brought that, like the fact that there were kids there and they were enjoying and living their lives and having fun. And nobody was complaining about the fact that kids were there. They loved that that energy was in the room and they loved that there were dancing in the room and dancers and drummers and people who my friend Maria, he was like, I don't drum. I'm like, who cares? I put a drum in her and she started doing it. Like, like yeah, I love that. And
Yeah.
even dancing, my boyfriend and me had a moment where we were like dancing and stuff. And I know he's not a big person. He doesn't like attention on him like that. So he usually doesn't want to go on the dance floor. But we're dancing. He's like, I don't know how you do this. I don't know how you get me to dance and get on these dance floors like this. And so it's like, I can openly say that like my boyfriend would not have done that if he wasn't in a safe, well cultivated environment. So I really appreciate you for that, and I thank you for that because, yes, you're giving me a platform to sing on, which is I so appreciate that as well. But I appreciate the environment more. I appreciate you cultivating a space space and a beautiful community where people care.
I love and I received that really well. To me, it was like when I was in my teens, my friends drank. You know, I drank with them. When I was in my 20s, my friends drank. At some point, I looked up, and I think it had a lot to do with my spirituality. It was just like, this is what I'm doing with my life. This is what Friday night looks like. This is what there is. You like, I want more out of life. I want to travel. I want to see great things. I want to be a part of great people. I want to feel alive. I want to feel joyful. And as happy or as high as drinking makes you, it's always going to be a temporary high in the middle of your experience, because you're going to have a couple drinks, you're going to feel great, and then you're going to get to the top of the mountain, and then you're going to find your way down. And down is not pleasant. There's nothing pleasant about the downward spiral, whether it's dizziness, being out of control, falling asleep, being drunk, any one of the things that could come after that, the drinking and driving, the relational components that get mixed up into it. People are
Yeah.
not themselves. And then on an energetic and spiritual level, you leave yourself open. And it's like, well, what's the point? There's nothing that's truly beneficial about it. And my feeling on it is that if you could take, what are people really wanting out of the experience of drinking? They want to feel better. They want to feel relaxed, not have anxiety. They want fun. So if we could give you a way to feel better without needing this thing that maybe it makes you feel better for a little bit, but there's a destructive quality to it too. If we could
And I,
give you a way to embrace life on life on life on life and give you the same feeling but better, why can't that be the alternative? And
yeah.
being, I do a lot of counseling with people. I have workshops, and we do a lot of there's so many people I've met that come out of traumatized backgrounds. My mom did this, my dad did this, my siblings did this, my partner is like this. And when people work, when you meet people who have worked to become sober, or they've been on the receiving end of the negative, worked to become positive, or they're raising their children in a different way than they were brought up, they value this space because they've seen the dark side of things, and they work to get from the dark into the light.
Yeah.
And maybe people that don't have as strong as situations don't really appreciate it or see it for what it is. Maybe they're still in that social phase where what they're doing is more fun. To me, a lot of those things are filler. I'm not satisfied enough with my own life. I need to add this in. And also, when I think you look around our society, I notice it because I walk when I hand out flyers. Every half mile on Long Island, there is a smoke shop.
Oh
And
yeah.
every mile between that is a liquor store or some
I
kind
feel
of
like
beer distributor.
I feel like there's more smoke shops now than McDonald's.
Yeah, yes, 100%, 100%.
It
And you
used to
think
be
about that.
McDonald's or a Starbucks on every corner. Now it's a smoke shop or whatever, an alcohol store.
Yeah, I mean, you think about that. What does that imply about the state of wellness in our society?
Yeah.
And, we're not going to find our way back to feeling good as individuals or feeling good as a community through checking out and numbing the pain that we feel. We're going to get through it by dealing with whatever that looks like. Happiness is going to bring happiness, or healing is going to bring happiness. So when we create these spaces, that's the root of what we're facilitating. We want to create a happy, healthy, harmonious, holistic environment where people can come to learn, hang out, relax, have fun, be expressive, artistic. We want joy, and to promote joy within the community. Bring your children, they're having fun, the kids find the other kids, they have a blast, they're exhausted. I mean, and you just said it earlier, kids are way more intuitive, way more intelligent than we give them credit for. And if we want kids to not be like, we'll say, lightly bratty children, you have to be that person, that parent that raises them in a more inclusive way. When the parent checks out because they're tired and pulled thin and puts their kid in front of the TV, they only learn what the TV brings, and they don't learn how to socialize. when you're the parent that socializes them and teaches them about these different environments and puts them in front of educational things, that impacts how they're going to be as people and how they conduct themselves. And you see a lot of kids whose parents bring them into spaces like this grow up to be more mature, or they're just more mature even for their age because of how they are responding and the people that they're in front of that they see.
I agree. Sorry. My cat.
Oh, that's all good. Cat, I know. I saw you looking at the cat.
He's starting to meow cry, so I just was like, I'll let him in, because if he sits there and cries the whole time, you're just gonna start hearing meow the whole time.
Nilda says, I came back to the hotel and gifted a kava drink to the young man at the front desk, and he loved it. It was amazing. She said, so grateful, Teresa. Val says, Bruno Mars makes me move. Val says, I love seeing young people with great goals. And Nilda says, 100% true.
Aw, thank you. You know, I appreciate all you guys who are tuning in. I have to say thank you for being a part of the vibrations tonight and for hearing us out. I hope everybody's having a good night and everybody's enjoying life today. Oh, okay.
Right.
Hi.
Well, while you get your kisses, I'm going to wrap this up because we definitely stayed. We enjoyed our time. I know that there's more that we'd get wrapped up in. So you guys are going to have to follow along on Instagram or Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, WhatsApp. God knows there's so many platforms now. E, where do we find you? Where, if I want to hang out with you or follow what you do, where would I go for it?
You can find me on all social media as Just E Please, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And then you can find me on all music platforms as Just E with an exclamation point.
Okay. So you all heard it here. Is there anything you want to say to everybody prior to us leaving?
This is Harley, and he's my world. And no, I guess the real thing that I would like to say is just we're all human. Words matter, and remember and always pay attention to your light. Oh my God, Eric. Sorry. I don't know what he just did. He went crazy. I think he's trying to get my feather just because I'm seeing his eyes now. He's trying to get
that makes a lot of sense. Well, definitely on the same page as everything that we stand for, whether it's Cosmic Tea Hour, Vendor Corner. Keep being awesome. I love you. I love working with you. We definitely will create more great things. Thank you to everybody who got to be here with us today. We love you. We appreciate you. We love spending the time with you. And we will see you on the next episode of Vendor Corner. We have some very exciting people lined up to be on the show for you to get to know who they are and what they contribute to Long Island, just the way that E is contributing a lot of positive vibes and love out there to our community. So you matter, you make a difference, you're loved, you're special, you're important. Shine your light and don't give up. Love you guys.
Love you guys.